All right, welcome back. In this segment, we're going to do another reconstruction. This is reconstruction number 7. If you recall, we're working with a court case, the Queen versus David Harold Eastman. Right here you can find the decision, and this is an article, much easier read, in which you can review some of the facts. And we put a short clip from that article right here. And in this case, the highest ranking police officer in Australia to be murdered, Assistant Commissioner Colin Winchester, was shot twice in the head at point-blank range as he was stepping from his car outside his Deacon home in the ACT at about 9:15 p.m. on January 10, 1989. And again, we've gone to Andrew Palmer's excellent book, Proof, How to Analyze Evidence in Preparation for Trial. And we've pulled 4 reasons from that book, and we're going to try to reconstruct them in a fashion so that the line of reasoning is evident. So I've moved what's called a reason here, but actually is the same conclusion that we've been using, which is Eastman was the man who purchased the Clarenbeck rifle on or about December 1989. And we can see here that Eastman is already in the subject placement of each of these premises. So I can extract the predicate phrases of each, as you see in each of these places, because the predicate phrases are the stepping stones that create the inferential connection. Here I've put them in the familiar vertical format that we've been working with. And there's our conclusion. Now I've moved them into the working space tray that we need. And here's our contention separated into the subject phrase and the predicate phrase, which is Eastman was the man who purchased the Clarenbeck rifle on or about 31 December 1989. And these are the predicates that I, like a jigsaw puzzle, I have to see if they can fit within the form and in what order. So I move the claim here, claim or contention, same thing, down into the conclusion space on the logic bridge template. And you know the next step, right? We separate the subject phrase of the conclusion and the predicate phrase of the conclusion. The subject phrase of the conclusion being the start of the first premise. The predicate phrase of the conclusion being the ending of the last premise. Now, I don't know for sure if I'm going to have 5 premises, but at least not when I start. I do know now, after I did the work. But you know, I've picked here a 5. Sometimes you can pick a 7 premise blank, because you're not sure how many stepping stones it's going to take to make this connection here. So my challenge then is to look at these predicates and see, are there relationships, logical relationships between each of them, such that I might string them together. So here I've tried a couple. Visited the house on 31 December and had already a telescopic sight. And I tried a couple more in here to see how they link was in possession, withdrew the $200. Now I'm left with preferred a Ruger rifle. And nope, wasn't a go. So I pull them all back out. And you might do that 25 times as you're trying to put into a logical order what was confusing in the original argument. Finally, I start with this one. Visited Clarenbeck's house on 31 December 1988. And I can see that is the connection to the subject of the conclusion as the argument was made in trial. So again, I match and move the predicate phrase of the first premise as the subject phrase of the next premise. And here I have two premises in support of this contention using one of the components of the original argument. I move on and I'm examining this one, still trying to see if I can connect them together or whether this is going to have to stand alone. Here, I move on to this one, and I see preferred a Ruger rifle. And that, I see, fits in nicely here in support of this conclusion. Here I put this one in. I can see this is really a standalone one as well. Eastman withdrew $200 in order to purchase the Clarenbeck rifle. I create the match here, the diagonal match, always in the form. Premise 2, any such who withdrew $200 in order to purchase the Clarenbeck rifle was the man who purchased the Clarenbeck rifle on or about 31 December 1989. And I can see that this, after quite a bit of reflection, that this last piece also stands alone and creates its own separate line of reasoning in supporting this conclusion. Now remember, in each of those that we've just went through, the advocate, the prosecutor, was not the question. Let me put it this way: that the truth of each of these premises is not something we are evaluating here. And remember, that's a subjective assessment by each individual person. But what we are doing here is reconstructing the argument using the material that was provided to place it in a form in which the logical connections are obvious, so that you end up with a line of reasoning in which the audience can see how the flow of certainty moves through the connections. Thank you.